Hi, this is Joseph Torres with Free Press here at the we're at the National Conference for Media Reform. We're talking to Sylvia McAdam, one of the founders of the I Don't Know More movement, one of the four founders of the I Don't Know More movement. The first question I wanted to ask you, just to explain to the audience, and folks who may not be familiar, what is I Don't Know More and what is this about? And she's visiting us from Saskatchewan,
yes,
Canada.
Yes. I Don't Know More is about the protection of Indigenous sovereignty and protection of land and water. It came about as a result of our opposition of a omnibus bill, C-45, that was passed and has become law in Canada.
And so what did that bill do?
It removed the Navigable Waters Protection Act, which means that our waters are no longer protected in Canada, and the environmental assessments have been lowered as a result of it.
So, but I Don't Know More is a movement of Indigenous people. Is that right?
It's not specifically Indigenous, it's all grassroots people. There's a misconception out there that it's Indigenous, and I put that as a result of the national media that misrepresented or didn't report properly on I Don't Know More. The independent media did a better job, like Wind Speaker, Eagle Feather News, all these independent grassroots media outlets did a way better job of reporting I Don't Know More.
So it's a great example. So here I am. I had that misperception too. And I'm a little more political astute than most folks because I get paid to follow the media. So that is also one of my perceptions that I've had. So I know you're at the conference, you're on a panel on Native American sovereignty and media rights, and you were talking about this very issue, how the media coverage, and you just mentioned it just now. So let's talk a little about that. How has the media covered your movement, misperceptions, what are they getting right, when they get on, and talk about the importance of independent media as well.
Well, our experience with the corporate media, the national media in Canada, was that they called it an Aboriginal movement, an Indigenous movement. Right. Of course, that wasn't accurate. They also called us harebrained. They also called us jokesters banging on drums. It was a very, very awful description of I Don't Know More. And as after that, a lot of the media was covering that, but it was the independent media again that we turned to, and they were more accurate and became the voice of I Don't Know More.
So I Don't Know More is it has grown, right? It has grown. I mean, its factions been globally now, right? So speak a little more to how, because we're talking about a movement that's been how many months now? It's less than a year old, right?
It's less than a year old. It started on November 10th, but the discussions leading up to that began probably about the end of October. So really, we're about 5 months old.
And so when we have I Don't Know More movement spreading, is it the same basic principle being fought for, or what are the issues being fought for in other countries? What are they the same issues of water and land rights, or what are they? What's the common thread on the other movements that I Don't Know More that's globally?
Well, we invite people who want to support I Don't Know More. We tell them, as long as you're peaceful, as long as you're ethical, legal, within those boundaries, then I Don't Know More, you can support it, because anybody can relate to protection of land and water, because I think we're at a very critical state in terms of environment and the direction that a lot of the resource extraction is going. It's devastating to our lands and our waters globally.
Right. So as far as where, it's always a tough question to ask a movement that's a startup. But how do you see this going? What is the how is this movement you think is your movement going to build? Is there any idea of where you guys are going with the movement?
We'll continue to pressure the government and the leadership in Canada to go towards more environmentally sustainable methods, and we have the technology, we have the resources to do it.
Right.
We just need to pressure our leadership to go towards that in a way to work with the environment that doesn't devastate it.
And that's the last question I actually want to ask you. I read a story that talked about that you feel is really important to pressure politicians.
Oh, yeah.
That it's important to speak up. And I know there's always pressure to work with, cooperate with, negotiate with. How do you view this right now? That pressure to compromise, to talk, or to speak up loudly, forcefully. Where are you at this moment with your theory of change, of how to make change?
Well, it's important for people to know that there's something in law called acquiescence, and acquiescence means our silence is consent. So if we're silent, we're consenting, and I insisted, the founders and I insisted, and we're committed to not being silent. They don't have our consent to devastate our lands and our waters.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being at the conference, and thank you for being on Free Speech TV.
Thank you.